So let's talk about mornings. Not the idea of mornings, your actual mornings. The ones where you open your eyes and something already feels off, and you don't even know why yet. You're not fully awake, nothing bad has happened, but there's already this low level of tension, this sense that the day is somehow already a problem. And your brain, without being asked, has already started explaining it. I'm behind. I can't do this. Something is wrong with me. Today is gonna suck. Sound familiar? Here's what I want you to understand about that. That version of you, the one showing up in the first hour of the day, is not the most accurate version of you. It's just the earliest one. And early doesn't mean true. Your body wakes up before it's ready. Energy hasn't come online yet. Stress chemistry from the night is still in your system. You're functional, but you're running on a smaller floor than you will be in 2 hours, even if you slept fine. That's just how the biology works. So everything that lands in that window hits differently. A text you haven't opened yet feels heavier than it should. A task you know is coming later already feels like pressure. Your mind is working, but it's working with less room than usual. And here's where it gets interesting. That tightness doesn't slow urgency down. Urgency shows up right on time. Before you've had coffee, before you've moved, before the day has given you anything real to go on, something already feels important. Something already feels like it needs to be dealt with. The sense of weight arrives before the details do. And so your brain does what brains do. It starts filling in the story. What kind of day is this going to be? What does this feeling mean? What does it say about me? Because there's tension to settle and not much information to work with, the story closes fast. It locks in, not because it's accurate, but because it reduces the pressure. Once a story forms, the body relaxes a little. The noise quiets, and that quiet gets mistaken for the story being true. That's the trap. The mind confuses relief with truth. So the belief travels forward. You go about your day carrying a conclusion that was formed when you had the least amount of support, the least amount of information, and the least amount of room to actually think clearly. And the wild part is, the morning fades, the tightness fades, your energy comes back. But the belief doesn't update, it just keeps going, quietly shaping how you read everything that comes after it. One bad morning teaches you I can't handle responsibility. And that rule is still active at 2 in the afternoon when you're perfectly capable, and the evidence would tell you something completely different if you were looking for it. But you're not looking for it, because the story already closed. One tense interaction in the morning teaches you, I'm difficult to be around, and you carry that into the next conversation like it was a verdict rather than a moment. That's how identity takes a hit. Not through one big thing, through 100 small mornings where a temporary state got to write something permanent. Career doubt forms this way. Relationship assumptions form this way. The quiet belief that something is fundamentally wrong with you, that forms this way too. It's not dramatic, it's slow. One compressed morning at a time, each conclusion feeling reasonable in the moment and adding up to something much heavier over time. Now, here's what people usually say when they hear this. Just have more discipline, push through it, get up earlier, think more positively. And I understand why those answers feel right. They put you back in control, but they completely miss what's actually happening. You can't think your way out of a capacity problem. When your floor is that narrow, pushing harder doesn't open it back up. It just adds more pressure to a system that's already bracing. That's not a mindset failure, that's just physics. The real problem isn't how you feel in the morning. The real problem is how much authority you're giving it. Because here's the truth. Mental states are temporary. The meaning behind them has a tendency to stick around. The feeling passes. The conclusion doesn't, unless you decide it doesn't get to be final. When you can look at a rough morning and say, this is information about what I could support right now, not information about who I am, everything changes. Not how the morning feels, how much weight you let it carry. Your output in the first hour is not your character. Your irritability before coffee is not your personality. Your doubt before the day has given you anything real is not a diagnosis. It's just early, and early doesn't mean true. That's really what the morning problem is pointing at. Something bigger than mornings. It's showing you how easily a short state teaches a long story. How often we let conclusions form under the worst possible conditions and then treat them like they were formed under the best ones. The low point always comes first. Before you have information, before you have room, and everything that follows takes its cues from that first hour, unless you decide the first hour doesn't get to be the authority. So the question is, how are mornings changing your life?